Cousin Eve was a senior now, but although I am 3 years older than she is, I was just a lowly junior. This real campus seemed wonderful to me, and it was such fun being with Eve again. I was amazed that she wasn't engaged by now. She was prettier than ever.
And when you graduate from college, there'll be many professional opportunities awaiting you.
I was so proud of my man going out to earn a living for us. And Pete was so proud of me cooking our first married meal.
Since grade 2, it's like, what do you want to be when you grow up? You know, and like, mostly you don't really have to know. And then all of a sudden you do, and everyone asks you that question, especially when you're graduating university. And I guess it just feels so important to know that question and to be able to say, this is what I want to do and here's my life plan.
Everybody asks me where I'm going to go with my psychology degree, and I hate it because I'm not sure.
Becoming a teacher isn't hard. The degree is pretty easy, no offense to other ed majors, but it's an easy degree and there's lots of jobs available, so I kind of know where I'm going.
I'm kind of lost, and I'm not always lost. I'm a planner. Which is why when I got into university, I was like, I'm gonna, prepare for the LSATs early, and I'm gonna go to law school, and I'm gonna have a plan, and I'm gonna know exactly what I'm doing. But like all plans, it didn't work out the way I had intended.
Nowadays, financial professionals are often expected to spend at least 80 hours per week in the office. How do you feel about having an 80-hour-a-week job?
Is that including sleep? I don't understand.
I think those hours, though, are intimidating only because we're assigning them to a job we don't want to do. I think that if you're doing something that you really enjoy doing, it's different. I mean, honestly, I could see myself working 80 hours a week if it was something that I felt would really integrate with my life. If I'm going to have a job, it has to be something that defines me, and I can tell people, yeah, I do this because I love it, and it tells you a lot about what kind of person I am.
And I feel like there's so much pressure to have a career that you love. You know what I mean? And have a job that defines you, and I'm a doctor and I love blood and whatever. You know what I mean? There's so much pressure to find something that fits with you and that find your passion when you're 18. Music production, I guess, to know a lot of technology. It's a totally male-dominated thing that I guess I'd like to get into, producing records and stuff like that, but you go into any kind of music recording school and there's maybe 1 out of 10, 15 people, students, are girls. The first kind of job that women were allowed to have, well, they could be the school teachers or, so kind of signifying that maybe it's not as important.
Publishing is actually very shaped by gender dynamics. Most literary agents and most editors are going to be women. Most men are going to be controlling the publishing houses.
The conflict with young adulthood is intimacy versus isolation. That's the crisis. And according to him, after establishing a personal identity, young adults seek to form intense, usually romantic relationships with other people.
You look at your parents, and most of them and their friends, they've met in university, they met in their 20s, and you're kind of sitting there alone okay, am I going to be alone for the rest of my life? Am I going to be an old spinster? I really hope not.
It's that big timeline, right?
It's like I was talking to a friend of mine like the other day. He was in first year, and she was saying she's okay. She's like, you're supposed to be married in your late 20s, like 25, 26, 27, and usually you get engaged and maybe you wait like a year until you get married, and then before the engagement you're dating for about 5 years. So that means actually meeting this person now.
It's like the fear of being like tied down with a ball and chain that it alarms me, and like I find myself like very closed when it comes to anything romantic, because there's just such a fear that will interfere with my other goals in life.
You don't need marriage to be with someone or love someone.
Like, I love you it's nice, and it's nice to say that to someone, but it's so much more special to legally bind yourself to someone.
I visualize, and when you said that, I visualize like being hogtied. Like, there's just something that feels really strange to be like, I'm giving myself to you. Like, take me. It just feels so like bizarre, and like I'm this like woman and you're this man who will take care of me. The feeling of like going from like one safety net with your family and then being like thrown into a different like safety net where someone else will take care of you.
I don't know, my parents met when they were 18 and 19. They're still married, like they had the big wedding, they have 2 girls that like they love, and they have like the nice house and like good jobs, and I really want that. Like, hey, I want to be done with all of this and have that now.
I definitely want to get married. I think I'd like to think I don't want to get married because for some reason that feels cooler.
My parents' divorce, it was recent, and it has really affected the way I think about marriage. I've seen with my mother, who stayed at home and she raised us and she did a great job, but in the end it was difficult for her to break free from a hard marriage because she wasn't financially independent.
I mean, I know what I'm supposed to be doing. I know where I could go because these plans have been created for me before I was born. And it's pretty much like a Jane Austen novel, except it's brown.
In a way, I'd like to be able to be around for my kids and like know all about their lives. But I think it's really, my mom did that really well, but I think it's a really hard thing to balance.
I always call you mom, but you have a first name, you know what I mean? And just that, it freaks me out that can become your whole life identity.
In some way, I chained her down. I know she loves me, but in some way, I restricted her.
We always seem to be questioning 2 things. One is where are we going to go with our lives in terms of career, and the other is who am I going to share this life with? Do I want to share this life with anybody? And those questions scare us a lot, especially at our age when we feel like it's coming. It's really close, and we don't see ourselves there yet. And that's what creates a quarter-life crisis.
The feeling of being in a quarter-life crisis comes more from not from the fact that we have to answer those questions, but from like those are the questions. Like we just narrowed down our like lives to 2 questions.
All of us have said at one time or another, we're budgeting our lives, we're dividing up the time.
Well, yeah.
It's finite, it's here. If you're not married by 30, it's over. If you're not having kids by 40, forget about it. If you're not a millionaire, it's never gonna happen.
I think the quarter life crisis is like fake. I don't think it really exists. I think we make it exist because we make up these questions and we force ourselves to try to fit our lives into these questions and identify ourselves with things that we don't need to be identifying with. Because really, when it comes down to it, like, so what?
The crisis implies that something's wrong and that there's a solution, and there really isn't a solution to this. It's just something that sort of like you naturally like evolve out of this and into a whole new set of concerns, I suppose.
There should be sort of a series of crises or questions.
Yeah.